I believe Sister Phyllis would be pleased that we paused in contemplation on her day, in celebration of her life. Good morning, my name is Michelle Waters. I'm a member of the pastoral care team here at Mount St. Francis. We welcome all of you gathered here today in the chapel and those joining us via technology. We gather today to honor and remember the life of Sister Phyllis Manternach. Let us begin by singing number 445. 445. We will sing verses 1, 2, and 5. Number 445. A quote from the mystic Rumi states, "Our greatest strength lies in the gentleness and tenderness of our heart." To encounter Sister Phyllis was to encounter the embodiment of gentleness and a tender heart. No doubt she carried that tenderness into her years on mission, first as an elementary teacher and then as a principal. Teaching elementary children was one of Sister Phyllis's favorite times in her life. Certainly, her gift of creativity was also a significant part of her classroom during those years of teaching. Can you imagine the designing, coloring, creating her students witnessed from Sister Phyllis? In recent years, Phyllis shared a memory from her childhood of having a box of only 8 crayons in grade school. The important part of this memory is when she later received a box of 16 crayons. There she made a very important discovery, the color red-purple. With this new color, her creativity expanded even more. We all know about and greatly appreciate her stunning gift of photography that later became an outlet for her creativity. Author DeWitt Jones once stated, "God gave me photography so that I could pray with my eyes." For Sister Phyllis, photography was a prayer. She defined it more specifically as contemplative prayer. It was, in fact, her favorite way to pray. Sister Phyllis once summarized her photographic experiences by stating, "As I gaze on the sacred visual text of the world, I am filled with awe and wonder. Indeed, all is gift." In her years of retirement, walks around the grounds at Mount St. Francis provided a prime opportunity for Sister Phyllis to be attuned to the beauty of the natural world. Nature is what inspired her, nurtured her, and through which she felt closest to God. She once wrote that she loved melting into nature. In faith, we can be assured that Sister Phyllis is now seeing the beauty of nature beyond her earthly imagination and experiencing the awe and wonder of colors like never before.
A reading adapted from Psalm 84. How glorious is your dwelling place, O blessed artist of the universe. My soul longs for you, and all that is within me sings for joy to the living heart of love. Even as the sparrow finds a home and the swallow a resting place, you invite us to dwell within your heart of compassion. Blessed are those whose eyes are open to the beauty of the creation, your creation, and who sing praises of thanksgiving with grateful hearts. Blessed are they who put their strength in you, who choose to share the sorrows and joy of the world. They do not give way to fear or doubt. They are lifted up by divine light and power. They dwell within the peace of the Most High. The word of the Lord.
Now is our time to share memories of Sister Phyllis. Please raise your hand and we will bring a microphone to you. Please state your name and stand if you are comfortable. Sisters, we invite you to share your memories first, and we will do our best to share as many from family and friends as possible.
Sister Frances Nussbish. On Easter Sunday morning, I was invited to spend 5 hours with Phyllis in the ER. She was, to the end, in my experience, gentle, and we had some very good conversation. And she was clear about what she wanted or didn't want, and what she wanted me to do when I left her that morning. And I did my best, but her instructions were so clear about what I should find in her room and where I should find it. And I was truly impressed with her ability to be so organized and as I said, to the end, a gentle conversationalist and that soft, gentle voice to the end. So I felt privileged.
I'm Rita Green, and I have 2 messages from our sisters. The first one is from Sister Nancy Schreck. I want to say on behalf of the people of Templeton and Halber that we are grateful for Phyllis's gentle and creative leadership as a principal and teacher. The second message is from Sister Maureen Leach. I remember the beautiful pictures Sister Phyllis took of the life cycle of the butterfly. Now, she has reached the resurrection stage of her life cycle. Her love of nature and artistic style will continue to bless all who see her photos.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sister Nhi Nguyen. Today, I would like to share my gratitude with Sister Phyllis. She is not only my spiritual director, but also my true companion in my journey. When I first arrived in this country, everything was strange and new to me. But Sister Phyllis patiently held my hands and taught me what I need to know. There were many evenings she sat with me, correcting my writing and speaking sentence by sentence with such patience and kindness. Yes, and thanks be to her, I can adapt to this country and I can grow deeper in my vocation as a religious sister. Without her, I think now I still struggle with my English and the life here. Yes, we share a lot of things. And I know that she always ready for God calling her. Yes, and now God called her. So may God grant her the joy of heaven and eternal life of peace. So I just want to say thank you, Sister Phyllis, for everything. And you are just give an example from my life. Thank you.
Camilla Heeman, and I think I've shared this with probably many of you, but when I would put out the list for washing feet on Holy Thursday, Phyllis was always the first one to sign up. And she told me she had special socks that were worn only on Holy Thursday. She put them on for that day, washed them, put them away for the next year. Last year, she came to me and said, I can't get my feet washed this year. And I thought it was because of her socks she was wearing. This year, when I put the sign up, she came and said, I will get my feet washed this year. I'm not going to sign up, but know that I'm ready. I said, okay. She said, I would have done it last year. I was so mad because we always walked up the aisle, and last year I came in church and you had everybody sitting in their chairs. I could have got my feet washed. Anyway, so I didn't put her name down, but I had her in mind. And on Tuesday, she came and said, you know, I told you I wanted to get my feet washed, but I think I need to take my name off. And in hindsight, I am thinking she must have felt not good. She was a great, great woman.
I'm Sister Margaret Wick, and I lived with Phyllis for 10 years over at Prairie View, and we got to know each other's families very well. But, you know, the thing is, and when I look back on it, first it was so sudden, but when I look back on it, it really changed my life. And I was trying to figure out why. And I thought back and back to the first years, and one morning, when I was on the leadership team and she was running the library, and we'd run off to work, and I ran out the door, and she said that night, "Did you see that leaf out on the stairwell?" Pardon me, no, I was running out the door, and she said, "It was so perfectly formed, and it had these drops of rain it had rained on the corner of the leaves." Well, I'll tell you what, that single incident, a comment on her part, changed the way I started to look at things, to look at the detail on things and see what I was missing. And that was 10 years ago, and I was kind of meditating on this and thinking back and think, you know, it did really change my life, how I looked at things, and how I looked at the beauty of things. First of all, as many of you have said, that she saw things that most of us, at least me, did not see, and then shared, you know. That was, you know, it was not something private. She did have those lovely books out there, but then she put them on, we could all see them. So she really shared her beauty with all of us, and I think that will still keep going.
My name is Dorothy Swiniger, and I knew Phyllis from the days of school. She graduated from Monticello High School 1 year ahead of me. So I knew her gentle kindness for many years, and I was happy to know her family too. And recently I came across a short poem which I think is a wonderful follow-up of Margaret Wick's comments. And it fits Phyllis so well. The name of the poem is The Sacraments. One day I talked to my friend, the old squirrel, about the sacraments. And he got so excited, he ran to his tree and he brought back an acorn, an owl feather, and a piece of red ribbon he had found. And I said to the squirrel, "You get it. Everything is sacred." And I said, "Listen, you got it. Everything is sacred." And you taught all of us that lesson. Thank you.
Janet Haver Camp. Phyllis and I shared 2 tours of teaching and working in Crescent City, California. We shared the ocean, the mountain, the beautiful people there. Plus, later on, we shared 3 years of going to classes at the Arboretum, at the BVM, the elders teaching. And we took Photoshop classes, which opened up big avenues for us. And we had a common friend, Father Mike Cloney. And I don't know if any of you family remember Father Mike Cloney, but he sent a message to you. My sister Cheryl and I send our condolences for Sister Phyllis and the family. So many good memories, so many photos. My favorite is her birthday gift, unwrapping Snap with glee, Father Michael.
Sister Millie Leuenberger. I lived with Phyllis at the old Clare House. And once this building was built, a new name had to be found. And it was just very recently that Phyllis said to me, I was the one who suggested Prairie View. And I thought that was her nature coming out. I remember driving with her at different places, and all of a sudden she would say, Millie, pull over, I've got to take a picture. More than once, that was the experience. And in the last time that I've been here, my niece sends me beautiful photography books from the National Geographic, and they're exquisite. So I shared those with Phyllis. It would take her sometimes 2 or 3 months to go through the book because she prayed and meditated on all of those beautiful scenes. And when I would come back to pick up the book, I probably got instructed about 20 minutes about what she had seen and what she had experienced. So we were continued to walk that journey of newness and beauty together.
Mr. Carol himself, I'm going to spring us a new thing. About 2 weeks or so ago, Phyllis called Kathleen Grace and me in her room. She had a new project. It hasn't been published yet, but I'm just going to give you a little taste. You're going to get to see this one of these fine days. She took the words of Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and went, Mount St. Francis had a farm, glory be to God. And then she took her beautiful pictures one after another, and we wrote descriptors of the pictures, Kathleen, and I did a little bit of a melody to go with it. You'll be so excited to see it one of these fine days.
My name is Kathy Knipper, and I'm sharing a message from Jesse Russo. I am forever grateful to Sister Phyllis for her photography ministry, which helped me often in my own. I could call her anytime and tell her I needed an image of the prairie or of winter, and within an hour, she would have about 50 images for me on a flash drive to look through. She saw the world in such a beautiful way, and it has deeply impacted me. I still find myself marveling at raindrops on leaves after a rainstorm because of a set of photos she once took in the parking lot outside of Mount St. Francis. She always told me the best sunsets at Mount St. Francis are in November, and she was right. Watch for them in 7 months. Though the camera was her instrument, she showed me and so many others how to see the world's beauty without one.
I'm Sister Kathleen Grace. The mission to see God manifest, God alive in flowers, in bees, in gnarled hands, Phyllis' eyes and camera recorded for us the glory of God surrounding us. Butterflies and bees sat still so she could record their existence, their beauty, their gift of God to us. She showed us the beauty that existed in our daily lives. She recorded our celebrations, held still for our memories to hold long after, to enjoy. In spring, we remembered the winter. In winter, her blooms and blossoms gave us hope of new life, leading us to God. Truly, her mission accomplished, remembered.
My name is Sister Jelita Deppie, obviously a classmate with all these other lovely classmates of Phyllis. My first experience with her was because of Monticello. I had a sister and brother-in-law living there, and all of a sudden I realized she was in the Manternach house that was a neighbor to them. And she used to come over as of before convent days, a babysitter for them. And they just loved her. Ron and Sue and a couple others of the older ones of my family, my nieces and nephews, were babysat. And then the Sue is related to our, one of our other sisters. They were related to them too. So that was really neat to experience that and know that she was the one they loved so much as a babysitter.
My name is Carla, and I was Sister Phyllis's niece. My family and I always will remember her gentleness and her appreciation of beauty, as so many of you have said. But I will always also remember Phyllis as a prankster. We went to visit her several years in Templeton, and got to, my siblings and I were always thrilled to be there, partly because we had the run of the old convent and we each got our own rooms, which was unheard of, so we loved that. But she also, along with her fellow sister, short-sheeted our beds. And she and my dad played an elaborate trick on us where they convinced us one evening that they could read one another's minds. And for the rest of that evening, my siblings and I were trying to test it out to see if we had inherited this, to see if we also had ESP, until they came clean. And then we got to experience the dissonance of understanding that nuns can lie. So I will always be grateful to her for that, and we'll miss the joy and the playfulness that she also brought to us.
I am Carolyn Manternach. My husband is Jerry, and I just went blank. Our youngest son, Jeremy, loved it when Phyllis would come to see us because we lived in Anamosa, and on Saturday morning, or whatever morning it happened to be, it was probably during the summer, she and Jeremy would walk out to Hardee's, which was probably a mile or just about a mile, and that kind of became their favorite thing to do. On a particular morning, they would get up and they'd go out to Hardee's and they would have breakfast together. What they talked about, I don't know, but Jeremy still remembers that very fondly.
I'm Kathy. I'm this part of the family. So Phyllis is my aunt, and I also remember her being a prankster in the short sheeting, and I loved to give her a hard time and try to get her to smile, and you know, she'd have a straight face, and I'd tell her the joke, and there'd be a pause, and then this big smile, and a soft laugh, and I just loved that. Something that was very unusual for me in my understanding of Phyllis was that she had been a principal, and as so many people today have said, they describe her as being gentle. And I could not comprehend that this person that I knew had been a principal, because that's not what a principal is like. And so my siblings and I would tease her about somebody coming to her office and being in trouble, and what in the world would she say to them? And now you know you're not supposed to do that. And it was just such a disconnect for me, but I'm sure she did it beautifully and probably better than any principal I ever had.
My name is Al Hartung. My wife Linda is with me. Sister Phyllis was her aunt. Linda and I have special and fond memories of Aunt Phyllis. We engaged in walking the prairie with her. Linda enjoyed going out for lunch with Aunt Phyllis. Aunt Phyllis was like a second mom to Linda.
I'm Dan, her brother. I can remember in August when we had come into Dubuque on the holy day for shopping, for getting clothes and what have you for the new school year. We always came to Dubuque in August on the holy day for that. And when we come in on 151, the bridge going over the Mississippi there, when we saw, you see that, Sister thought that the cars actually went way up, like the arch that supports it. She thought that's where the cars went over. I said, no, there's a deck down below. But she didn't think she would like to cross that bridge. So
Tim Manternach. Phyllis was my aunt. I can just remember the summers when she would spend time back in Iowa. At that time, she lived in California, and we would hear stories of California, the ocean, and most memorable was her talking of the giant redwood trees. And you know, to hear her talk about just how big they were, that they would carve an opening through the middle of a tree to drive a car through, it just seemed unbelievable. But when she stayed with us, her most she enjoyed the most spending time out in the garden, looking at butterflies and just things in the garden that were growing, and just cherishing the simple things in nature.
Thank you all for sharing your special stories and remembrances of Sister Phyllis's life. We'll continue to share our memories of her during the days and weeks to come. Let us pray. God of wonder and awe, you opened the eyes of Sister Phyllis to your kingdom as her life came to an end on this earth. We offer our praise and gratitude for the beauty of her life brought to all those she encountered. Open our eyes to see all the gifts that you bestow on us each day, and empower us to continue to give witness to those gifts until one day we will join Sister Phyllis in the glorious colors of heaven. We ask this through Jesus Christ, your Son. Amen. And let us close by singing number 418, Open My Eyes, number 418. We will sing all 4 verses.